This is TCT's Daily Major. I am Brian Dabreo, and these are your headlines. CARICOM is out of political alignment with Trumpism. Support for the Chancellor's call for President Obama to clean up Garvey's name before leaving the White House. Parliament approves Christmas barrel concessions for 2016. And building St. Lucia's resilience to climate change through coastal stabilization. TCT's Daily Major is brought to you by Dubilee's Bottling Company, Parents Food Products, Ramco Charming, and One Caribbean Newspaper.
So nothing will keep us together. Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
More than a third of our children are now overweight or obese, and some reports indicate this will be the first generation where the children might not outlive their parents. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, and the leading cause of death for African Americans, Hispanics, and whites. 25 million North Americans are diabetic, and roughly 2 million people are diagnosed with diabetes every year. Bio's Life, the clinically proven natural fat loss.
For more information or to purchase this product, contact Ramjay at telephone 716-1400 or 450-0495 or email ramjay35@hotmail.com.
One Caribbean newspaper is dedicated to the unity of our people in one Caribbean nation. We invite you to write us and tell us what's bothering you. No matter what it is, as long as it's within the law and it doesn't offend the public conscience, we will publish it. Send us your pictures. Tell us of your weddings. Tell us when, unfortunately, you have deaths, and we will publish the death announcements. One Caribbean is a newspaper dedicated to the unity of the Caribbean. Write to us at onecaribbeanltd@gmail.com or dennisdabero@gmail.com, and we will publish what you write, as long as it is within the law and it doesn't offend public decency.
Welcome. We begin with excerpts of a presentation by Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, at a forum at the UWI Regional Headquarters on November 9, 2016, titled The Caribbean Say on USA Today. The seismic but surely predictable shift in the political narrative of the USA presidential elections has thrown Caribbean-USA relationships out of alignment. More so than many parts of the world, the Caribbean states in the CARICOM sub-region have sought to align their economic and political strategies with those of the USA in search of an effective alignment. This development agenda has led to critics to suggest that it has been more than alignment but a subservient culture of compliance. The search for political alignment since independence was turbulent but never morally disrespectful. The two-party democracy system which we both share has spawned a celebration of the political center while recognizing that a socialist left and a conservative right have powerful constituencies to represent. The U.S. electoral call for an extreme shift to the right originates with those groups who prefer a society based on Christian fundamentalism, white corporate elitism, military nationalism, ethnic solidarity, and the iron rule of communities by militarized police. They have rejected the concepts of multiracialism, social liberalism, community inclusiveness, racial equality, gender justice and equality, and the social role of government to provide health care and the public education for the poor. In the clash of philosophies, the Trumpists have won, leaving the Caribbean nations that have generally been aligned to what Americans now call Obamaism, social inclusion, together we can, equality and equal justice for all, out on the left field without the ball and a referee blowing a whistle. Clinton's Stronger Together has evolved from Yes We Can, both connected to our Out of Many One People and Rainbow Nation. These rejected philosophies of how best to organize a society imply disdain for the Caribbean worldview that has pushed democracy far behind where white America feels comfortable. CARICOM is therefore out of political and ideological alignment with Trumpism. Our political leaders have rightly expressed salutations in the direction of the president-elect, but will he ever reflect upon our best wishes, visit with us, and by the way of generosity, hail CARICOM and big up Jamaica?
The question now is whether that fundamental philosophy is now consistent with what Trumpism represents. And we have to be very clear on what is Trumpism. Trumpism isn't just republicanism. The question about the Cuba connection, the Russian connection is important. It is very important. Putin was able to mobilize a political narrative to capture the Russian state, to enable big business to take a transcendent position in the collapse of communism. So with the collapse of communism, Putin was effectively able to mobilize big business to take possession of the state and use the state as a tool to empower that group. Now, it is clear to me that Trumpism and Trump was able to develop a strategy to take possession of the American state. And his purpose of taking possession of the American state is not to implement social transformation, not to use the state for purposes of public democracy and empowerment. The purpose of Trumpism is to capture the state for the empowerment of a group of people who have a perception of what America is. And that is precisely why Trumpism and Putinism are identical. This is precisely why they are both doing the same thing in their respective countries. Take the state away from those who believe that the state's primary responsibility is social engineering, building democracy, public health, community empowerment, equality for women, treating children and women with a certain kind of respect. That view of the state is not included in Trumpism.
Professor Beckles also made mention of a major concern for the Caribbean.
The question then is, how do we align our economies, as Professor Badal has said, with this reality? We have a tourism industry to drive forward. How do we align our tourism industry with the kind of economy that Trumpism represents? How do we align the exportation of our commodities with this Trumpism? How do we align not only our foreign policy, but our domestic economic structures and strategies? Finance, banking, insurance, tourism, the exportation of our manufacturers. How do we align it? If we are ideologically out of alignment, and we are politically out of alignment, how do we align the economy? How do we align the Caribbean economy when it is quite clear that politically and ideologically we are out of alignment with what has happened? This is really the challenge of Caribbean leadership. Unless the argument is that there is a Trumpist group in each of our countries who are consistent with Trumpism. Unless we assume that in each of our Caribbean countries there is a social group, an empowered social group that is in alignment with Trumpism, and there is a Caribbean Trumpism in each of our societies. That is where the analysis, in my judgment, has to take place. That is where the analysis has to take place in terms of the Caribbean economy, Caribbean politics, and Caribbean sociology.
The head of the Caribbean's top university is getting support from the region for his call on the departing Black American president to clean up Marcus Garvey's name before leaving the White House. Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, over the weekend called on U.S. President Barack Obama to grant a posthumous pardon to Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr. for his 1923 mail fraud conviction in the United States. Sir Hilary got support from Mr. Earl Busquet, a St. Lucian-based Caribbean journalist who is also the chairman of the island's National Reparations Committee. Mr. Busquet says the Caribbean and the black world need to support Sir Hilary's call, which is on behalf of the entire Caribbean and in support of a move already underway by Garvey's family with the full support of Black America. Sir Hilary's call followed Jamaica's observance of National Heroes Week, the annual celebration of that country's heroes and martyrs, and while Jamaica, the Caribbean and the world are observing the United Nations declared Decade for People of African Descent. He called on President Obama to exonerate Garvey before he leaves office because it is the right and proper thing to do. The campaign is supported by the Jamaica government, the Caribbean Reparations Commission, the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, and members of the Congressional Black Caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives. The much-anticipated concessions on Christmas barrels are on again for the festive season. Government has announced a 100% waiver of import duty on barrels imported between December 1st, 2016 and February 15th, 2017. By Cabinet Conclusion number 295 of October 24, 2016, government approved the following concessions with regard to the Christmas barrel trade. 100% waiver of import duty on personal items, food, clothing, toys, and other household consumables contained in barrels. Electronic items are explicitly excluded. The number of barrels that would qualify for the concessions are limited to 2 per household. The conclusion notes further, there is an upper limit of AC $2,500 per barrel on the value of items qualifying for the concessions. The items contained in the barrels must be for personal use only and not for commercial use. Penalties and fines apply if the goods are used for commercial purposes. Cabinet further approved the transmission of the appropriate legal instrument to Parliament to declare barrels imported during the stipulated period exempt from value-added tax. The St. Lucia Trade Export Promotion Agency, in collaboration with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, hosted the Resource Management module of the ProNet training series for small and medium-sized businesses, as well as other interested in persons on November 15th and 16th. ProNet is a structured training program to build capacity in exporters and enterprises. It is targeted at owners and managers of small and medium-sized enterprises who want to grow their businesses and become more competitive in today's ever-changing and demanding market space. The initiative sought to raise the level of productivity and profitability within SMEs through the experiential learning methodology, case study based and driven by practical examples and assignments. The training initiative was held in the conference room of the Ministry of Infrastructure, Port Services and Transport, Union Castries. You are watching TCT's Daily Major. Still to come, building St. Lucia's resilience to climate change through coastal stabilization.
Crystal clear, yeah, that's what we drink. When I want to quench my thirst, bring a bottle of crystal clear, yeah, it's so refreshing. I don't want no other water. The choice is crystal clear. Cool the temperature, revitalize me with crystal clear. Give me a bottle of water. All on the road is crystal clear. Inside the bottle, crystal clear. Everybody's drinking water. Crystal clear, yeah, it's so refreshing. When I want to quench my thirst, bring a bottle of crystal clear.
The choice is clear. Crystal clear. Premium, purified drinking water from Duboulet's Bottling Company Limited.
The way you smile at me is everything I dream.
How is that boy running up?
Your Lucelec bill has been redesigned to give you more information. The top portion of your bill contains an invoice number, Lucelec's VAT identification number, and customer address. A past due stamp is displayed if your payment is overdue at the time of billing. Ignore it if you've already made your payment. To the right is a barcode for easy processing of your payments at Lucelec's customer service offices only. The billing summary highlights any amounts due from the prior billing, total of all payments made between your last bill and your last payment date, any other charges or credits to your account, any fees for returned checks or reconnection, VAT charges on these fees, the balance brought forward, your current charges for the billing period, the total amount outstanding on your account, and the date by which it should be paid.
Experience the flavor of icy. Icy, yeah. Icy. Pop it up, let's start the party. Ooh, yeah. I like the flavor. Ooh, yeah. I love the taste.
The orange and the pear, the cherry and banana, the apple, ginger beer, or strawberry for your mama. Grapefruit, cola, champagne, sorrel if you wanna. Quench your thirst first, have a icy soda water.
Icy, yeah. Icy. Pop it up, let's start the party. Ooh, yeah. I like the flavor. Ooh, yeah. I love the taste. Icy.
Experience the flavor of icy. Bottled by Duboulet's Bottling Company Limited.
Ramco pasta is a master. Your staple of choice because the quality is superior. No gluten, no white flour, 100% semolina. Ramco pasta tastes better, I swear. Ramco pasta forever. When I using mac and cheese, bon, give me some more please. Ramco have variety, go Betty to Betty and Fusilini. Ramco, the taste we know, met you. Now available at all leading outlets. Distributed by Ramco. For more information, call 450-0495.
Thanks for staying with us. The St. Lucian National Trust, in collaboration with the Southern Tourism Development Corporation, will be implementing a project entitled Increasing the Resilience to Climate Change and Natural Hazards and Reducing the Rate of Coastal Erosion for Pigeon Island National Landmark and the Point Stable Environmental Protection Area through beach stabilization, restoration and enhancement. The project, which will be launched on Thursday, November 17th at the Trust Southern Office located at Maria Islands Interpretation Center in Beaufort from 3 p.m., is financed by the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center in partnership with the German Development Bank under the Local Adaptation Measures Grant Scheme. This project will address the impacts of climate change on St. Lucia's coastal resources through the implementation of measures to stabilize its shoreline and mitigate against coastal erosion in two geographic locations, the Pigeon Island National Landmark and Point Stable Environmental Protection Area. The major outcomes anticipated include 1. Increased protection, stability and resilience of PINL and the PSEPA, recreational beaches and historical assets from coastal erosion through utilization of appropriate coastal protection measures. 2. Improved climate resilience of natural resources and ecosystems of the PINL and PSEPA. And 3. Enhance institutional frameworks and improve capacity of local communities to address climate change and naturally occurring events affecting the coastal environment. The director of the SLNT, Mr. Vishnu Tulsi, said some of the major outputs of the project for PINL include the rehabilitation and extension of the existing groins and the construction of a breakwater off its eastern beach. In the PSEPA, coastal erosion measures will be implemented to reduce erosion and loss of infrastructure, and the sand dunes on Ansdo Sable Beach will be refurbished and revegetated. Mr. Philip Gerbatis, who refers to himself as the nation's watchdog, spoke to TCT about some of his usual concerns.
As I've said of lately, I am not putting pressure on the government, but I want them to be aware of the things that are not good. Because I'm saying they just blocked potholes on the Millennium 2 weeks ago. The very same place they blocked the big pothole, there's another one bigger than the one they blocked on the Millennium. At the hospital around about there, the new one, there's a big pothole on the side. When you live there, you're going down the Tamazo, where they had the first work, from going down the Viewfort side. There are two big potholes. Last time I fell in a hole, I fought everything underneath the Van Rattler. Then you have Olinyoga. You have Larry Shoes. You have Lakai after the old police station. You have at the bottom of Fondo. You have all those holes are there. I'm saying if these people fixing the potholes cannot fix them, get other people to fix up to do potholes on the road, because what they're doing there is nonsense. By 1 week, everything removed on the potholes. I want the government to really supervise what is going on and get people to do work that people feel safe on the roads of St. Lucia. Thank you.
The island's leading telecommunications and entertainment company, Digicel St. Lucia, is proud to be the title sponsor of what may single-handedly be the largest and most diverse mass participation sporting event to be hosted here in St. Lucia, the Digicel St. Lucia Triathlon. To be held on November 19, 2016 in the tranquil surroundings of Rodney Bay and the Picture Square Pigeon Island, the event will be fully powered by Digicel for the 4th consecutive year. Triathlons are among the world's fastest growing sporting events, attracting large numbers of surprisingly affluent participants. The Digicel St. Lucia Triathlon, encompassing the sporting disciplines of swimming, cycling and running, is expected to attract over 200 athletes together with health and sporting enthusiasts of varying levels of fitness from around the world. As title sponsor and partner, Digicel brings its strong brand recognition and networking reach to this event. Our facilitation, which will be fully supported by a cadre of highly skilled and dedicated Digicel team members, involves a strategic partnership with John Lunt, the principal behind this initiative, along with several other partners, many of whom we already have well-established relationships with, like the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, tourism partners like the St. Lucia Tourist Board and other sporting associations. Digicel is once again proud to be associated with the triathlon and look forward to another successful event, said country manager for Digicel St. Lucia, Sibian Alexander. In an effort to recognize and encourage entrepreneurship among youth, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States has launched the OECS 30 Under 30 campaign that seeks to identify young entrepreneurs making strides in the OECS. Entrepreneurship is at the heart of Caribbean life, from the vendors in our villages and the city centers, the numerous people with side hustles, to the regional Caribbean business person. Entrepreneurship is woven throughout our economies and our lives. The OECS 30 Under 30 initiative will recognize 30 young entrepreneurs under the age of 30 as examples of youth success in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs can be from any discipline, industry, including but not limited to art and fashion, design, business, technology, agriculture, sustainable development, social development, and entertainment. Through this program, young persons will be accepted as a cohort for business support by the OECS Competitive Business Unit, receive mentorship to aid their professional and business development, receive technical assistance, be assisted in sourcing markets and financial inputs. All entrepreneurs, regardless of business size, years of operation, and business industry, will be considered. Entrepreneurs must, however, be under the age of 30 and be a citizen/resident of an OECS member state. Staying on the regional scene, CVM Television in Jamaica has reported that former Jamaican javelin and discus thrower Olivia McCoy, who represented the country at 2 Olympic Games, is homeless and begging on the streets. In a plea for help published in the Jamaica Observer in 2013, McCoy said that her financial situation had become so bad she was unable to pay her rent and spent many nights on the streets of Kingston with her 4-year-old son by her side. Since then, she earned a living from bag juice sales on the streets of Kingston, but 3 years later, having sent her son overseas for a better life, still with nowhere to go and no money, she was again forced onto the streets. Retired since 2008, McCoy won silver medals at the 1999 and 2005 Central American and Caribbean Championships and the bronze at the 2006 Commonwealth Games. She also competed at the 2000 Olympic Games, the 2005 World Championships, and the 2008 Olympic Games. Her personal best throw is 61.10 meters, the standing Jamaican women's record achieved in July 2005 in Nassau, the Bahamas. Rather unfortunate, I must say.
I don't want no sympathy. I've been living on the road for 6 years. I don't want your sympathy. I don't want your sympathy. I don't want your sympathy. You are seeking political leverage and self-exaltation of my situation. What did you do with your money? I didn't get any money. I was always a patriot. What do you do? I don't have no money. Representing Jamaica at the Olympics don't pay money. And I never make a final at the World Championships. So what did I do with my money? I put it in my pocket and buy supplement to represent my country, the people of Jamaica. I graduated from St. Jago High School. I graduated from Northern Caribbean University, NCU, and I graduated from Louisiana Tech University, Ruston, Louisiana, in the United States of America. My last study was in industrial organizational psychology. I was doing a Master of Business Administration. My bachelor's is in Business Administration, and I have an associate's degree in Business Administration. And my PhD is in the streets of Jamaica, wicked people. So if the Minister of Sports, Miss Nita Edley, do not know what to do, I'm asking for a meeting with her so I can outline some of the principles.
Now for the weather report. Present weather at Turanora partly cloudy, at George Charles partly cloudy. Sunrise tomorrow 6:05 a.m. Forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 15 miles or 24 kilometers per hour, becoming lighter at times. Weather, partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some scattered showers and a slight chance of isolated thunderstorms. Seas slight to moderate with waves 3 to 5 feet or 0.9 to 1.5 meters. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some showers and a chance of thunderstorms. Tropical weather outlook. Moist and unstable conditions in the lower atmosphere over the eastern Caribbean region will continue to cause some scattered showers and possibly thunderstorms over the region during the next 24 hours. Finally, unbelievable, but true. We now invite you to have a look as this priest attempts to keep his flock in line. Quite frankly, I don't think it's a good idea to be collating anybody because somebody might just lose their patience there one of these good days. You understand? Yes, where we come to the end of this edition of TCT's Daily Major. But before we go, another look at the headlines. CARICOM is out of political alignment with Trumpism. Support for the Chancellor's call for President Obama to clean up Garvey's name before leaving the White House. Parliament approves Christmas barrel concessions for 2016, and building St. Lucia's resilience to climate change through coastal stabilization. TCT's Daily Nature was brought to you by Dubule's Bottling Company, Ferrand's Food Products, Ramco Chowing, and One Caribbean newspaper. As usual, on behalf of the entire news team, I am Brian Dabreo. Thanks for viewing.